Now, the second of these teaching segments deals with sexual purity. And in Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 to 30, Jesus said, "You have heard it said," you can see that, another section beginning, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell." Now here, Jesus deals with another one of those commandments of the Old Testament, one of the 10 commandments, about adultery. You shall not commit adultery. But again, he sets the rules of the kingdom against he sets the rules of Moses against the rule of the kingdom. You have heard it said, but I say to you. First of all, he talks about the legal prohibition, you shall not commit adultery. Then he lays down the kingdom standard. And again, it's far more radical than the Old Testament law. He said adultery is not just the outward act, it's the inward lust. And if you look at a woman lustfully, or a woman looks at a man lustfully, it works both ways, then you are committing adultery. If the person is married, adultery is extramarital sex. Fornication is premarital sex, but it's talking about sexual sin here, not just adultery. So Jesus goes further and says it's something that's in your heart. And then he says, now if that's real, and if you really want to live under the rule of God, then you must take practical steps to avoid sexual sin, even in your heart. Take practical steps to avoid lust. And he goes further, because the picture he uses here is only an illustration. It is only a picture. He doesn't mean it literally, of course. So that goes to show you can't treat this as law. Because if you treat this as law, in a lawyer's hands, this would mean you would lose yours. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's not talking legalistically about plucking out your eye and cutting off your hand. He's talking about taking radical steps to avoid all forms of sexual impurity. Very, very important. In today's environment, in the world which is full of, particularly the Western world, full of sexual promiscuity. I saw a discussion on a television program, and there was a Jewish rabbi talking about standards of morality and how you should save yourself for your marriage and how you should have one partner and you should not have sex before marriage. And some editor of some newspaper actually believed that you should. She was making it a rule that you should. He was making it a rule that you shouldn't. Now, I'm not criticizing the Jewish man as if he was being legalistic, because that is what it means to live under the rule of God. Jesus himself said, if you're living under my rule, you will not engage in sexual relations before marriage. And some say, well, I've heard of couples who go all the way but full sexual intercourse and say, well, we haven't had sex. We haven't sinned and disobeyed God. What about lust, my friend? You don't even have to lift a finger. You don't have to do anything physical at all and still commit sin in this area, because it's to do with the attitude in your heart.